Hello and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. And as a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, we love seeing you live every Thursday night, Facebook and YouTube. So hello and good evening. Chats are always fun. Can't get to every chat, but remember, your chats may show up in the show, so be careful. And as always, if you can't catch us live, catch us in the replay or in your favorite podcasting app. My name is John T. Ruark, and I'm a past master of the Patriot Lodge, number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. Isn't that right, Jason?
Yes, last time we checked.
Yes.
My name is Jason M. Richards. I am a past master of Acacia Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, also a member of Lafayette Lodge number 79 in Zanesville, Ohio.
The M is for more light.
Yes, Jason M.L. Richards.
Nice. Awesome. Good evening, all. Look, Jose is calling it early. First show after Lent. Self-improvement.
Start of Lent.
Start.
We are not post Lent yet.
We are during Lent.
Yes. He hasn't raisined yet.
And also for his introduction, the Wizard of Arch. What up?
I'm not late. I'm here on time. Barely. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Okay.
Robert Johnson, past master Waukegan 78 and Spasnovum 1183, where I'm secretary of all things forever in every organization I've ever been a member of.
Just now into perpetuity.
Just that good. Just that good.
Nice. Awesome. Great having you. You know what's also great having? Patrons who support the show. You guys are amazing.
Absolutely.
All the way into and through and during 2025. So thank you for all your support.
I just want to say the support we've gotten is so amazing. And there have been times where that support, I think, really went far, we were able to take that support even farther, like during the pandemic time. It was just crazy cool to be able to, provide everything during that time, and all thanks to you guys. So it's awesome.
That's true. Yeah, I think just to explicitly call it out, right? Because we've said, and we'll continue to say, that all donations go right back into the show. Like we're not making a buck out of it, right? We'll print some stickers and stuff now and then to hand out and that kind of stuff. But a lot of this comes from the software costs. Because what made me think of it was when you said during the pandemic, we were like, it was on the tail end of Google Hangouts or whatever, but right before then we had to invest in some really expensive broadcasting software.
It's true. Yeah. Like, there were a number of things that came out of pandemic that were amazing innovations that the market responded to, like StreamYard. But do you guys remember? I mean, we went from Google Hangouts to like, what was it for?
vMix.
That's right. Yeah. vMix and now this. So yeah,
and that upped the level of difficulty by like a factor of 10.
Oh, it was not user friendly at all.
No.
Yeah.
So we survived. Yeah, and we're still here. So thank you very much. All right. It's also that time. And Joe's not here to enjoy it. Again. Where we play the tarot card of the week. Yeah. Sorry, I'm working late, guys.
Tarot card of the week.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. It's like a fine wine. Gets better with age.
All right, so this week, I have told John that one of these days I will run out of tarot decks to feature on the show.
And when you do, I'll just start pulling from mine.
That's true.
That's true.
I think together, Jason and I probably have 1,000 decks.
All of them.
Oh, we have all of them.
All of them.
I probably have 125.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
125.
You know that
to
deck that's
130.
obscure and like only 2 people know about it, and it's pre-Kickstarter? Yeah, I've got that one.
Yep.
So that day is not today.
It's not today.
So today we have the Terra Volatile. Deck.
Ooh.
Really cool deck. It's one that has a bunch of extra cards. It has an entire, 5th suit and the minor arcana, and our card today is the Universe, also known as the World card.
It's better than the world. It's the world
It's
turned up to
better
11.
than the world. Yes.
Better than the world. It's the greatest. The
It's
universe.
Huge.
It's huge.
We'll go ahead and we'll just add the picture of it to the stage.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
So if
So-
like your traditional world card is like the ultimate of the major arcana, right? And it's completion,
Arcana.
it's the totality. Well, then what is the universe? If the universe is bigger than that, that's the real question.
It's just staged up, right? Exponentially larger and larger and larger.
Double plus good.
But also, I mean, I feel like this rendition of the card, I like the use of is purple like throughout, or is it just the world card? Because, purple is like this majesty. There's the overtness.
Just the world card.
Nice.
Yeah, there's the overtness of, there's like a Hindu vibe definitely getting from it. And, if it's meant to be like
Definitely.
Shiva or whatever, that's pretty.
The creator and destroyer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Beginning and the end.
So maybe this is, so we know that the world card is the conclusion of the fool's journey. Maybe the universe card is the conclusion of the creator's journey.
maybe. So if you
Maybe.
read the Bhagavad Gita, right, the story of Arjuna and Krishna is in there, and there's a scene where, as you're reading it, Krishna reveals his true form to Arjuna, and he like has this magnificent vision of basically worlds being eaten and created at the same time, and all of this stuff, and this bright shining like majesty. It's really what this card brings to mind. I really love the artwork as well. It's great.
Well, and a lot of people tend to think of like the generative act of creation as a one-time thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've read any of Richard Rohr's work, if you're into Christian mysticism, he makes the case that creation is a continual thing, and every moment of every day creation, divine creation, is occurring.
I like it.
And so I
Inspiring.
get a lot of those vibes with this card as well.
Well, isn't that a great card to start off self-improvement for our show topic this week? How great is that?
Got to tear ourselves down to build ourselves up.
No, you've got to tarot ourselves down
Yes.
so we can build each other up.
Yes.
Mm.
You're savagely a dad right now.
Yes, I was going to say, there's something there. So let's talk about it. Self-improvement. So this was a topic that I've been kicking around, and I went and searched. I was like, I know we had to have talked about self-improvement. We talked about leadership. We've talked about, officer training. We've talked about religion. And I was like, are you kidding me? We have not talked in 504 episodes about the whole point of what's the whole point of self-improvement in the first place, right? As we as Masons are supposed to have that as a quality or a virtue that we aspire toward. let's talk about it. That's fascinating, right? So why do Masons care so much about self-improvement?
It's what we showed up to do, right?
What came you here to do, right?
It is
Yeah.
it is exactly the point of Freemasonry. We always, I mean, we've quipped before that like the reason for Freemasonry is Masonic education. And ultimately, that education is centered around ideas of self improvement through
It's a,
understanding of deity and self and the world around you. All of this stuff assists us or should assist us in when properly employed, right? We use our working tools and our philosophies to better ourselves, which then has, ripple effects in everything that surrounds us, whether that's communities and families and things. So yeah,
yeah,
it's exactly what we're called to do.
it is a catalyst for our own self-improvement,
There
right?
you go.
If the ritual sets us on the path, Masonic education is the catalyzer
Interesting.
to get us
Yeah.
going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I got brother Patrick Tessier. Self-improvement. I was a good man and then became a Mason, so I'm better. Right? The old, what do? We take good men and we make them better. Right? That's the
Bitter.
old tagline.
We take good men and make them bitter.
Make them
Dad
better.
joke number 2. We need a counter. Tick-ting.
Well, what was Nick Johnson once said? Maybe the quote should be, "We take better men and make them good." He said something to that effect, and I thought, yeah, that works too.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah. Just, thinking about the episode, I started to think about what philosophers said
Mhm.
about self improvement. We always take kind of a historical look at the show or at
Mhm.
the topic of a show before we really dive into it. And self improvement is, it's intrinsic, it's baked into who humans are. Philosophers, mathematicians, like there kind of doesn't really matter who you are. I mean, even biological processes are based on improvement over time, right?
Right.
So I think it's just really it's baked into who we are. A couple of cool quotes that came up, when we were talking about philosophy of self betterment were the famous quote by Socrates: "The unexamined life isn't worth living."
Mhm.
Um, right, our famous one that we all love, "Know thyself," largely attributed to Aristotle, but debatable. Um, Oh, your boy Marcus Aurelius. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury.
That's
You
right.
know, all of these really
Mm.
great
Don't
quotes.
lower yourself to your
Mm-mm-mm.
enemy's level. Mhm.
So
No, I
why?
love it. But why? Is that
But
the
why?
philosopher question?
Why though?
But why? Yeah, so that had me thinking too about this this concept of, so why do we have this attraction, this pull to a fraternal organization to do that, right? Where a lot of us, and including most of our jurisdictions, require a belief in a deity. So it's not like it's a replacement for religion. It could be for some people, but really that's not the requirement. It's that the requirement in most jurisdictions is that you have to believe in a supreme being of some sort. So we've got the calling for something greater than yourself from a spiritual aspect covered elsewhere. Then you have other fraternal organizations as well, whose primary focus, unlike Freemasonry, is more charitable community works, right? Going out and improving the things outside yourself, your lodge, your temple, right? So that's where I find like Masonry has this sweet spot of an intersection of all those things, and its primary focus is to just really take that good man and make it better, and actually focus on self-improvement. What did you come here to do, right? And so it's an interesting niche that we fall into, and it can often be ignored or at a minimum looked over, passed over.
I agree. One of the things that you had mentioned was masonry has this sweet spot. And then you can tell my wife has kids that collect Pokemon cards, or that she dated a guy with a propensity to play CCGs. Yeah, masonry is the booster pack
It's
to a
it's the
belief.
boost. That is amazing, actually.
Is that
Maybe.
like a fanny pack?
Nice job, woman. I love you.
No, that's
Um,
great. Because I've said that for a while, like for probably the first 10 years I was a Mason. That was one of my answers. Like, well, why did you join the Masons? This because it enhances my existing foundation.
Yeah, and I think that is a great way to put it. It is an enhancer because it's there's a huge call, I think, in religious institutions today to be an active Muslim, an active Christian, an active Buddhist, right? Whatever that is, to live the life that your faith tells you to live, and to really embody that. And I think for a long while, there's probably a deficit in humans to follow those things. I think masonry fortifies and actively encourages, because if you are meeting there right now, you have an exclusive group of individuals who are exactly who should be holding you up to those higher values. And even if they don't understand your particular religious bent, they know what you all are there and agree on, right? Like these specifics to masonry that everybody understands, um, which is beautiful in of itself. So yeah, maybe that's good.
Well, and I do think it's interesting that masonry it gets, I think, confused by Masons just as much as non-Masons, for being this organization of charitable works, right? And when you really get down to it, Masons are or should be charitable as an extension of the internal alchemy and self-improvement that they undertake as a part of the organization. And so I don't think it's egotistical or self-centered to think about the purpose of masonry as you know internal spiritual alchemy and self-improvement as the number one goal, um, as opposed to going, well, we're Masons and we're out in the communities and we do all this stuff and we've got the Shriners Hospital and all this stuff. Like, that's cool, and that's arguably what
Right.
good men should be doing, but it's not the foundational aim. It's kind of like a second order effect.
Right. hmm Which then leads me to the question of, okay, so we're here to improve ourselves in masonry. We're here to take good men and make them better. And I don't want to get into the how because we haven't even defined terms yet. I'm very much of a words mean things kind of guy, and I don't know if we're going to get the answer to this, but really it should start with, what does self-improvement look like? Because that could be different for you than it could be for me, which it could be for Jose, right? It's really a matter of, how do I take the foundation, the baseline, the starting point of how I entered the lodge, and improve myself? That could mean a variety of different things. For some guys, it's hitting the gym. For some guys, it's eating better, exercising more, reading more, hanging out with the bros. I mean, it could be anything, right?
I think it could be, but at the same time, you said words mean things, and so does context.
Yes.
In the context of the ritual, it really does define a philosophical moral improvement. Um,
Sure.
And because of that, it would be irresponsible to say, yeah, brother Joe Snow is out there, and he comes to lodge all the time, and he's a great guy. I know he you know, steps outside of his love life, you know, maybe with somebody else from time to time, but you know, he's doing better. He's going to the gym and stuff, so he's on track. No, dude, no. That's not it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, what we're talking about here is yes, it is self-improvement, and yes, it is overall improvement, but it's kind of just like when you go to the doctor. I think the doctor is concerned with physical, you know, for most
Right.
part,
Mhm.
improvement. And they'll tell you, like, yes, meditation helps. Yes, exercise helps. Yes, like, you know, good mental habits also help. It's part of it's like a package deal, right? And in the same
Mhm.
sense, if you're trying to be a better person, you know, through a philosophical, moral sort of construct, sure, healthy habits are also going to be a part of that.
Sure.
But I think we do need to hold accountable to the idea of what actually constitutes this betterment. Couple of beers.
Yeah. A couple of years. Because yeah, that's what I've been thinking a lot about in preparation for this episode. Because what does, okay, let's help define that then. Like, what is out of scope, right? And one way to define what something is to define what it is not.
Mm.
And you gave a good example that we all kind of agreed is not a good use case. So like, what is that? Where's the line of what is not self-improvement for a Mason?
Getting rich. Getting richer. Like, you're not trying to improve your material,
Mm-hmm.
you know, self through masonry, right?
To come into Masonry expecting that you're going to do this for business deals, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I think this is a great way to do it, and I'm not sure I know of two other guys that could do this, right? You know,
Joe
certified
could if
project
he were here.
certified project management guys and lean guys, like totally defining. Let's draw the lines.
I cosplay
Where
as one. Thank you very much.
let's move these things around. What is constituting? Yeah,
Need
what's
some post-it notes on a whiteboard. Hold on, be right back.
yeah? We need a flow chart.
All right, bring up mural.
This is interesting because I mean, we see the reason why it needs to really, I think, be defined is because of I think, Jason, earlier you said something and it made me think, maybe you said this exactly, but guys, even Masons are kind of confused as to what it actually means. It's not finding the Templar's treasure. Yeah. Thanks, Kenneth.
Wet blanket.
And so when we think about you know, the guys might not even know what it is either. It made me think about, I was at a grand jurisdictions leadership thing. It wasn't Virginia. And they were talking about like, well, what does it mean to keep the secrets of a brother? And he's like, murdered his wife and or murdered, you know, he's maybe the guy stepped out on his wife, and then the other case was like he robbed a bank or something. It was something like just egregious. And he's like, yeah, you report him to the law. Cheat on his wife, stay out of it. And I was like, what? Like, that seems totally backwards to me. Both of those need to happen. Like, both of those the conversations need to happen.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, this is really bizarre. I mean, because to me, foundational to our craft is the ability to, like, I mean, we obviously, for a group of guys who love throwing around the obligation, you would think we know all of the areas in our life that, you know, fall under an obligation. especially if you're in a partnership or something.
Specs and blanks.
Oh
Yeah. So yeah, this is good that we're defining it. I think this is a good thing, but where is the line? Like I said, I mean, if a brother was stepping out on his lady, yeah, I would talk to him about it and be like, it's only a matter of time before somebody's going to go to your wife and say something, or your significant other, rather.
Yeah.
But like stealing pens from work,
Right.
or
Does that make a bad Mason?
does that make a bad Mason? I don't know.
I mean, that's a really good ethical like gray area, right?
It is an ethical gray area. If I ever see any of you guys watching the show in person, you tell me to tell you the story about Game Boy comics and the lesson I learned from the Game Boy comics, and we'll have a drink.
Nice.
But I don't want to take up the showtime for that.
And I'll regale you with the lesson about Bluetooth headphones.
RJ knows that one apparently. But yeah, it's
Yes, I do.
but it's important, right? Because having to know what self-improvement is not really helps us again draw that line of what it is. Because where I'm going with this is, what if you're like on the line that you join Masonry expecting to join a fraternity, you're coming in, you're doing all the motions, you're doing it all the right way, but you have no internal change of heart, change of direction, no sense of improvement other than, well, I did my catechism for the 3 degrees. I'm following orders. I'm standing when I'm supposed to and sitting down when I'm supposed to in lodge. Does that make a Mason, or does that make for self-improvement?
I mean, there's something to be said about rote memorization without inculcation, right?
Yep. And I also I think back sometimes to something. I think all of our friend Greg Kaminsky once said something like, you have to be okay with Freemasonry the way it is. And I don't know if Greg's ever like been cool with me sharing that he said that or not, but I've always stuck with it, because for me it was like it coming from a place of like, hey, don't judge others. Like sometimes things are
Right.
just the way they are.
Yeah.
And in a sense, can you say it counts for something that they're here?
Partial credit. Yeah. Because to your point, like, because again, love brother Greg, because he's got this headspace that I'll never be able to even remotely peek into. So we're not expecting everyone to be just totally transformed, fully, diving down the esoteric rabbit hole or anything like that. We're not advocating that's for everybody. That's everybody's personal journey. We like it, but it doesn't mean it's for everybody.
Yeah, and it doesn't, and you don't have to dive deep into spiritual alchemy and esoterics
right.
to improve yourself. And
exactly.
to fully,
yes,
to be a full participant in the aim of Masonry.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But the converse is not true. That you have to have some effort, right? And that's what I would advocate for. I would say, well, we got to have a line somewhere, right? You can't be half pregnant in Masonry, because we want someone who...
Well, our obedience doesn't.
Well, technically true. Yes. So we don't want someone who's just going through the motions either. Right. We don't want a surface level nice guy to be around. I have nice guy friends at work. I have nice guy friends in the family. Like, that doesn't mean that they're Mason material and that they are taking this structure, this organization that we've put together.
You have terrible Mason best friends.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I should rethink my life choices. So
yeah.
But you see what I'm getting is, like, being a Mason inherently doesn't make you a better person. And if you're not willing or able to make the effort, and we're setting the bar extremely low here, guys. Like, just any effort to be a better person than you were before you joined Masonry should just stick around.
You're being unbrotherly. That's unbrotherly.
Can we call it unmasonic?
Masonic charges on you for judging another bro. That's it. We're all done.
Oh, well, call me expelled. But you see where I'm going with this, right? Because that's what we're here to do. And yet, if someone's not doing the work, should we have a talking to with them? I mean, because I'm not saying going straight to expulsion, but like, there's a lot of bros that just love to just come and eat, pancakes.
So what if
and all that?
What if we dropped the whole like we're a volunteer organization, and let's pretend for a moment that lodges could focus on exactly what we're supposed to do rather than like leadership and admin, because we don't know how to do those things. So that's what we're caught up doing. If in a perfect sense we were doing all the things we say we would do, then maybe there would be room for conversations like the worshipful master comes to you and goes, "Hey, I noticed last week you didn't turn in your 5 bullets on the things you did to be better last week.
You're expelled."
I'm just, but like seriously, like, hey, I noticed you've been, what have you been doing? Like maybe it was like an open sharing, thing. We're like, hey, we're all trying to do this. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to, I've been thinking about this philosophy a lot, how that pertains to me. So I think there's room for those conversations.
Yeah, and I think so too. And I think where it can start is taking a hard look at trying to truly understand the ritual and why the ritual is the way it is.
But I memorized all the words, right? That's what you're talking about?
Doesn't mean you know what it means.
But I know I memorized the word. I know how to pronounce it correctly, so that's good enough.
In Virginia, we don't.
That's true. Heaven forbid we introduce Latin.
Yeah. It's one thing. Again, I said this like 10 minutes ago. It's one thing to memorize. It's another thing to actually understand. And I think, that journey of self-improvement, it begins with a self-discovery of the meaning of the initiatic experiences that you go through.
Yeah, and we would hope that you have a great initiatic experience, that you take the words of the ritual to heart, you contemplate on them. Again, you don't have to go through a full spiritual transformation, but if you would like say, hey, you know what? I could take some of these working tools and apply them to my daily life and try to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. Cool. Like, that's awesome. I want more of that. I want every Mason to do that. That would be great. Just be 1% better today than you were yesterday.
Kaizen.
Have you said that before?
Maybe a little bit.
Like every episode.
Let me introduce you to this concept called Kaizen, right, Jason?
What we need to do is we need to create an LLM chatbot and ask it how many episodes John referenced Kaizen.
Oh, if we could only train it on our data, oh my gosh. That would be there'd be some fun.
It'd be sick.
Results.
Hey, with DeepSeek, it's not as expensive. Just don't ask it about Tiananmen Square.
No. What are you talking about? Nothing happened. Look over here.
Yeah.
Right. AI can read Hamlet out loud, but can't go method and feel it. Yep.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Cyberdyne's almost there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm thinking about this, and it kind of comes up in a timely way. One of the things that one of the things we've covered several times on the show has been ideas of cognitive biases and logical fallacies.
Oh yeah.
And in that sense, it was really kind of cool because recently, this is one of the things that the Midwest Conference Masonic Education has been sort of theming its year this year when it's going to be in Indianapolis, Indiana. Our friend James Buckhorn, who's ed chair over in Indiana, is the host of the series, the president of the MCME. And one of the things that he's got a real bent toward this year is this idea of recognizing those things, but not so much like recognizing them and avoiding them in, say, your research, but also in terms of overcoming the biases that we have. So this is another form of self-improvement. And the reason I bring it up is
Yes. I like that.
I bring it up today because I went to their website, Your Bias Is. And if you scroll down to their parent company, I think it's Thought Progress or something. Anyway,
I'm bringing it up. Stamp, you keep talking.
so you can actually take their conspiracy test, which is really kind of wild. So yeah, scroll down to click on like their parent card. Yeah, School of Thought. And you can go to the School of Thought website. And when you go there, they have this what is it? Their conspiracy test. And I have to read these to you because
theconspiracytest.org. Okay.
Yeah.
There
Go
we
to
go.
that. You got to share this. And so people can see this. This is really interesting. What it asks you to do, don't play the intro video, just scroll down. It plays this intro where a UFO abducts you. And then it says, we're testing the human brain. Now, look at these conspiracy theories, one that you think could be true, and then it takes you through different evidences for and against, and it says, hey, we just want you to think about it differently. We're not trying to change your mind. And then you adjust a scale of how true or factual or not true something could be, and it kind of takes you through the process of how you can almost better yourself by simply opening yourself up to other points of view.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a lost art.
Yeah,
it really is.
So Chad Kopinski and I had a 2.5 hour long conversation for the Hyological research. And a big part of that conversation was talking about kind of the aim of Masonry and being able to recapture that lost art of rhetoric and discourse and having the hard conversations, not because you're trying to win, but because you are trying to understand the other view and where the other person is coming from. And through that mutual understanding, that is what elevates you both.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It was maybe like 10 years, 12 years ago. Coincidentally, around the same time I became a Mason, somebody was giving a talk and said something about, hey, it's important that you are listening to someone's argument to understand it and not respond to it.
Yes.
And I was like,
it kind of reminds me of a Simpsons quote where Homer goes, Lisa, just because I understand doesn't mean that I care, or just the other way around. I forgot. It's like, I don't really care about it, but at least I understand you.
Yeah. And so in that way, like if we were, that's like kind of the beginning to your understanding, you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes, or you're looking through their eyes, their perspectives, and it gives you a grander worldview. A grander worldview then assists you in being more empathetic even to other people. Like you're building on your emotional maturities. What does it say?
The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. Get out of your echo chamber, right? And we're not asking you to convert. We're just saying, savor it, think on it, hold it, right? That could be the first step in self-improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this. in my Facebook feed, I have both Fox News and NPR.
Yeah. It's true.
So, I mean, it's just we really do have to be able to meet. Oh wait, on the level.
Hey, write that down. That's really good. We should
Yeah,
use that.
Wait, which level?
Oh yeah, the levels.
That's why there's so many of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Problem is the ones up here, can't really stoop down to the ones over here.
Something about never mind. There's that meme. It's like never stoop, so like never, step on a bend or talk down to a brother unless you're
bringing them up.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So what are you guys doing to better yourself? Got any personal stuff?
Well, I'm always looking for something.
Oh man.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's the season of Lent, and I've tried to take it seriously over the past couple of years, just as I've kind of grown in my own personal framework with which I view my relationship with the divine. And this year, I am there is a lot of pain and heartache and a lot of people who are hurting, especially in this country. And so I wanted to focus this Lent on service to others. And so I am trying to better myself by taking time to bless other people. I've sent several texts today to other people saying, hey, I just wanted you to know that you're really special. And I think the world of you and just hope that you have a fantastic day. I'm doing some contemplative exercises where I'm thinking on other people and wishing other people well. Like, part of how I can improve myself is to think about others more and care about others more and show that care and kindness and compassion and love to others more.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a big list. I am going to fail mightily.
Well, Gene Simmons in a book once wrote, if you get everything done on your to-do list, it was too small.
Right. I like it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for me, I was, like I said, today I was diving into some of those biases, and one of them on there was the JFK conspiracy. And I'm like, yeah, I totally buy into the JFK conspiracy.
But the magic bullet, I mean, explain the magic bullet.
You can't. And even after I went through everything, it was like, did you change this? Did you change your mind? Did you think about it different? I was like, nope.
I'm doubling down.
I'm doubling down, bro. So for me right now, it's a lot more I don't know if there's a word for it, but like intentional reading. Like a lot of times we read stuff because we're supposed to read something. And I'm trying to do this thing where I'm like reading and digesting at the same time. I already am a slow reader. And I don't know if a lot of guys out there know this or ladies watching are different, but like my wife can read she can read like a 500-page book in a night, and understand it. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
And for me, I read at the speed of speech. So like,
because you are hearing your words as you read them all.
Yeah. Same.
So it takes me, sometimes reading was daunting as a kid. So, it has to be like, but now I have to take even more time to read it because I'm trying to like really capture it, especially when it's like texts by some of our foremost, great Masonic writers of yesteryear and today. And I'm reading things like that Kirk McNulty wrote. And it's like I find myself having to like intentionally read and spend extra time on it,
Right. Mhm.
unpack
AE
it.
weight. It's like a Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of where I am right now. And I try to be all things, and I'm always trying to like do something to better myself, whether that's audiobooks for sure. Yeah, I'm reading. I'm rereading the Illuminatus trilogy right now via audiobook. Anyway, so all that to say, I want to do all this stuff all the time, but I don't always have the means, and sometimes I fall off the wagon and I get back up, and it's kind of just like what's the flavor of the week? What am I focusing on this week? Kind of, I don't know. I high on one end and then I fall off, and then I start something else and fall off, and then I come back to something else.
Flavor of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And so that's cool. I similar to that, at the beginning of the new year, and a little bit into the previous year, I've been doing like objectives and key results for myself, and I do it in different categories too. So I use the categories that like Damon John put in his book Rise and Grind, which is you have like spirituality, your job, your career, which are different, right? Your family, your health, and I think finances or something like that. And so if you have some goals for each of those categories, you'll be pretty well rounded, and you can address some of those short term, some of those long term, right? So obviously some financial goals may take time to invest, where there's some things you could do today, like send a text like Jason did, to change someone's life, right? So those, but if you don't write it down and say like, what are your actions that you're going to do, right? Then it's often like, I'll get to it someday, right? So I've been writing those down and having a list that I've been failing at. Some things I've been crushing, some things I've not been crushing so hard. And like what Jason said with Lent, my spiritual checklist is starting to get a little bit more focused for the next 40 days. So I think that's
not just about giving things up.
No, it's taking things on.
Taking things on.
Exactly.
Yes. Carrying the burdens of others.
Yep. And so the last like big question I wanted to ask you guys is, hypothetical situation. You got a bro who's gone through, I wouldn't say he's done the bare minimum, but he doesn't have his 37 pieces of flair on, and he's gone through masonry, got his degrees, and basically hides no shame in saying, I really don't want to improve. I'm kind of okay with where I'm at. He's not a perfect person. None of us are. What do you do? Like, what advice would you whisper into his ear to help them think through, like, we are an organization about self-improvement.
Join the shrine.
There you go. There's some audio cutting in.
RJ's dying. Yeah.
Episode 200 hashtag.
We did do a good episode.
Where's 200? Yeah. I think that's hard.
It's a difficult conversation for sure.
And I think the question really is, why did you join Masonry in the first place?
Well, my friends were in it, so I get to see my friends more.
So we've talked a lot about spiritual alchemy and self-improvement from a kind of spiritual, relational with God type of perspective tonight. Hanging out with your friends is an improvement in someone's life, right? Like me, I came to this organization because I had a family connection and I wanted some really good friends. And so, being able to, meet and fellowship with other like-minded brothers, like that did improve my life in a huge way. So does it have to be a moral, spiritual improvement? I don't think it does.
There you go. As
One
Brother
might-
Chad Kopinski would say, positive peer pressure is technically indirect self-improvement.
Sure.
It's a ricochet.
I think
Ask Chad to send you his latest GIF.
Okay.
I think what you said, yeah. Does it not have to be, in a roundabout way? It's interesting because even though, I mean, it's kind of just it's totally indirect. I was thinking about something I was reading on Quora earlier. Somebody had actually wrote a question out, and it was like, how do you deal with people who just don't want to improve and they want to stay miserable?
Right.
Well, obviously, this is a super subjective question, and they listed out like 8 things. It was empathy and understanding, encourage an open dialogue, model positive behavior, set boundaries. And I was like, well, what is that? It said it's important to protect your own mental health. If someone's negativity is affecting you, establish boundaries and limit your engagement with them.
Especially if you're an empath. Yeah.
Yeah. Offer support, not pressure. Focus on small wins. So if they express any desire to change, you can help them identify small, manageable steps. And then going back up to that empathy and understanding one and the encourage open dialogue, those kind of operate on an interesting level in that they're talking about the idea of they might not want to do anything because they've got some, pent up trauma or something. They don't feel safe enough to be vulnerable and open to admitting something that they might need help with. And then going back up to where we were, encourage professional help. So if it's appropriate, you can say, hey, like I've got a talk therapist or something. But ultimately, number 8, and I think you'll appreciate this maybe, I think as much as any Mason who loves Stoicism, in particular, because you just put together a whole thing on Stoicism. 8 is accept their choice.
Because so hard to do, isn't it?
Ultimately, you can't force someone to change. Accept that that's their life and their choice, and focus on what you can control, your own actions and responsibilities.
Oh, I see. You're
Masonry
married too.
provides the tools.
Yeah,
But Masonry, like the craftsman, has to use them.
Yeah, you can lead a horse to water, kind of mentality. And what I think is important to mention is that even if you accept them for what they are and what they're doing, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then and maybe and hopefully the majority of guys or women, whatever, at your lodge or your organization, if you're all doing what you're supposed to be doing, being a positive role model, maybe just
being a
maybe
mentor,
you'll have the Midas touch.
Yeah, you'll rub off. Mm-hmm. Good.
You rub one out. I mean, no. What'd you say?
It'll rub off on someone. That's
yes.
where I was going.
Yes.
All right, we're going downhill fast. Let's bring it home. Question of the day is: what does self-improvement mean for Freemasonry? It's like, why do we do it? Like, why is this part of the package? Jason, take it away.
Self-improvement is important to Freemasonry because we have a limited time on this planet. And I think part of being God's creation is to make the most of what we have and do right by the rest of creation while we're here. And there's big emphasis on memento mori in Freemasonry. Hashtag no skulls in Masonry. But remember that you will die. And in a lot of ways, the fact that we will all, meet the same end ultimately, or the same transition rather, not an end, just a transition. That'll take us away from kind of this mortal plane like that is, a not necessarily a forcing function, but it is the primary motivator behind what we do, and and what we try to do within Freemasonry. We only have a limited amount of time. Let's leave the place in better shape than it was when we came to it. And I think that's ultimately what Freemasonry is about, is equipping men with the tools and the knowledge to be able to leave this earth in better shape than it was when they arrived.
Love it. How about you, RJ? What's it all about?
Well, as self-improvement is what I would consider central to Freemasonry, because it is considered, part of the tenets of our fraternity, where we are charged and encouraged to sort of, constantly strive for betterment. To say that it's important because Freemasonry says so is just circular logic. So I have to step outside and think about this more objectively. But it's really difficult because I live in a Western society whose subjective values, coalesce into this idea that, this is good, this is bad, and all this, right? And so when I think about the purpose of self-improvement, I think I go back to what Jason was talking about, and that is, there's no limit to how you can do it and what you can do. But I think it's just important to ensure that you've made some sort of an influence or an impact or, whatever, to someone, something, or some situation. I think a lot about what we do as Masons, and how, we're always talking about, what Masons do for communities and things. And by and large part, Masons don't do anything for communities.
Not as much anymore. Yeah.
We're not doing that stuff anymore. We're just trying to exist and manage our bills appropriately without getting in trouble for, not having two signatures on a check or some stupid rule.
Mhm.
I mean, we're not engaged in what we're called to be doing. Coupling that with the fact that we are people with faults governing our organization and ourselves, we all have our faults. But it takes me back to something Dr. Mike Shirley said. He was the chairman of leadership for Grand Lodge, Illinois for a number of years. And he actually, he's a life member, but, he's essentially left Freemasonry. And he said that because he believed in Freemasonry, it was important that he leave it. And it took me a lot of time to unpack that. And what he was trying to convey is that Freemasonry, by and large, isn't practicing the virtues and the tenets of what it calls us to do. And actually, by participating in the way it is actively being right now, is antithetical to what Masonry was taught to him to be. So it's like he had to leave it. And I think that could be true for a lot of us if we don't do the right stuff, if we aren't being the example, as Joe likes to say, be the change. And I think that's really important. So to bring it full circle back to say what Jason already said is we have to impact our community, whatever that is for you.
No, I
Wow.
like that.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
what's the Wilmshurst quote, right? That basically says that Masonry wasn't founded just so we can sit around and read bills and, talk about the minutes from the previous meeting.
Something like it's impossible to think a vast organization like Freemasonry exists simply to teach grown men the symbolism of a few working tools.
Right. And that's where I love it. So thank you for pulling it, because I know that you guys have that like literally written on the back of.
I'm just trying to remember it. I
Yeah,
didn't
no.
pull it up.
You did a much better job than I would have. Because that's, I think, really what it comes down to, is that this organization was designed from the start to be centered around self-improvement, self-fulfillment, self-actualization, right? Taking yourself to the next level. And to ignore that, or to brush it under the rug, or to treat it simply as a social order is almost blasphemy. Again, like to RJ's point, from where it is today, from if you're not treating it with the respect and dignity that it was really founded upon, then there's a ton of other organizations that would love to have you to be charitable, to go do things, meet friends, and not bowl alone. But Masonry is unique, it's special, and it has this this little je ne sais quoi that is really the purpose of Masonry, is to take good men and make them better. Moving up to that next level, I'll end with what Brother Jose put in the chat a while back. I'm going to give you a little Masonic secret, so I hope you're listening. That Masonry truly is up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start.
Wow.
So with that,
Okay, I'm done.
I want to thank you all very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.